All right, folks, welcome to Street City Studio. If you're new here, I'm John, and today we're talking about my action figures like we do most days, right? Um, I mentioned in some recent videos that I was thinking of expanding out of my 3 3/4 comfort zone, right? I'm a big fan of 3 3/4 figures, especially MCU figures. I mean, not only I'm a big fan of Star Wars figures, GI Joe. I got lots of interests, but one of those interests is the MCU. And excuse me, recently I had gotten some Fantastic Four figures. I was real excited to see those hitting shelves in my area, right? And so I had gotten some Fantastic Four figures. Well, I got the whole set. But, if you've seen the videos, you've seen what I got. I got the card. I got Galactus. Let me show you right there. Right? Got that Galactus. And it really just it gave me an itch for more MCU figures and more 3 3/4 MCU. But I've been talking about it, and there hasn't been a lot of MCU figures or even 3 3/4 figures of any kind that really catch my attention. Right, the last things before the Fantastic Four set here, I think were we had like the Guardians of the Galaxy set, right? We talked about that a little bit before. And before that, it had been a little while, right? There was a couple. There was a out of scale line of 5-inch figures that came with a couple things, right? That really fit in the scale well, right? And so I was thinking about getting into Marvel Legends, because Marvel Legends basically covers every corner of the MCU. I think as someone who doesn't collect, I haven't followed and kept up. I can't say which figures they haven't covered, but I know they've covered a lot more characters than I've got in 3 3/4. Right? And not just characters, but costumes. Right? They'll have usually a wider variety of costumes, right? They've made more versions of Thor than they have in 3 3/4, and so on. But usually much better too, right? Better articulation, better details, better accessories, swappable hands, all that kind of stuff. And so I've been thinking a lot about what figures to start getting into if I do get into it. And so basically, I came up with a short list of what I consider to be like a soft step into Marvel Legends, right? Maybe figures that can scale well with my 3 3/4 figures, right? So that I don't need a Marvel Legends shelf specifically. And I have went out and got myself my first Marvel Legends figure, right? I wanted to bring that in here, talk about it, because I'm pretty excited. Let's see if I can fix this camera here just a little bit. Not much. There we go. But yeah, I got Surtur to go with my Thor figures. Uh, and honestly, I'm really happy with it. I can't say enough about the scale. First off, because if Surtur was on shelf with my Marvel Legends figures, he's gonna look a lot shorter than he does next to 3 3/4 figures here. right? And he just looks massive. So that really that works for me, especially right. You start talking about other figures like Hulk, right? You get the Ragnarok Hulk in there, right? And he's not the biggest Hulk, but I do have bigger Hulks, right? And so, for example, let me scoot him up so I don't knock him down. This is my custom Hulk. My custom Mark Ruffalo Hulk. He's a little hunched over, but we can straighten him up a little bit here. Get his head up. Right. And so you see, you put a Marvel Legends Hulk next to Surtur, he's gonna be pretty massive and make Surtur look that much smaller. And I have a larger Hulk actually. But I don't have like the full scale Marvel Legends scale Hulk. But I do have this Ang Lee Hulk. He's a little bigger even. Right? But you get what I'm saying, right? It just complements Surtur that much more to have him that much bigger, right? Because the Hulk in the movie, right? The Hulk jumps on his head, and he's trying to pull that crown off, and he looked like a pimple or something. You know, he's tiny compared to Surtur's head, right? And so you try to stick one of these Hulks on his head, and it just doesn't work in the same way. So he's still kind of under scale for some of them larger by the end of the battle kind of scenes, right? But for when he first had Thor chained up and their first confrontations there, this is about the perfect size, I think. Right? He might even could go a little smaller, but that would be more comparable to what he would look like next to some Marvel Legends, I'd assume. Okay. But let me get these Hulks out of here. Pull Thor up front again. Oh, he fell over. Maybe I'll leave Hulk in here. Leave him right here, kind of. But I definitely have a little Thor universe going on, and there's a couple others. Right, I know, like this Destroyer from the 3 3/4 figures. I haven't had one in hand, but I'm almost positive the Marvel Legends Destroyer armor would look much better than this one, because this one barely looks like a big guy. Right? You put it next to Thor, and it just looks like he's got big shoulders. You know, he doesn't look like a giant. This thing should be up here almost, I think. Right? Thor should only come up to his waist, maybe. So that's an idea, right? I can eventually get around to a Destroyer armor. Like I said, I've got quite a few Thor figures, Thor-related figures. Right? I've got a good handful of Thors. I've got the Ragnarok Thor. I've got the Helmet Thor. And for a long time, this was my favorite one, just because it's pretty close to his comic book look, right? With the helmet and everything. But he hardly wears the helmet anyway, so it's not exactly movie accurate. So I kind of prefer the movie accurate ones, but I'm probably not going to leave these guys in the screen because they'll always stand so good, right? But I got the Warriors 3 and Sif. Right in front of me, and I almost lost track. Right, there we go. And I can't find his mace. It's around somewhere, I think. Got a handful of Lokis. So, who am I missing? I knew I was missing somebody. There we go. This isn't exactly MCU, but I use her as a stand-in, right? She's not exactly far off from what we got in the movie. She's another one that likes to fall over as soon as I let her go, though. But so, with the rest of them, the whole point of bringing all them in, the rest of them, Surtur really rounds out a display, right, for a Thor shelf. Little mini shelf, I guess. So I'm real happy to have him, and he is just chock full of articulation. Being a 3 3/4 guy, some of this articulation's kind of surprising to me too, because he's got like the ab crunch, right? He can do the ab crunch, and he's got this mid torso split here, so he can turn a bit and rock a bit. Right? I don't have a lot of figures with that much ab articulation. He's got the double knees and the double elbows. I'm off camera right there. But mostly, that translucent fire just looks amazing. Yeah, I'm not doing it much justice here with my poor videography, but I really am hoping to get some good pictures with him. He does look, he looks pretty sick. And that sword's massive. I almost wish it came with like some sort of a sparking effect that you could attach to the tip, like how you're dragging it behind him. But that might be something I'll have to work out on my own. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to have him. My first official Marvel Legend figure on my shelf. And technically, I did grab another Marvel Legends figure, but I grabbed this one first. And we can touch on that one too here, just to kind of wrap up the video. But I thought this one was much more video worthy, I thought. There we go. So for my, let me get them out of the way. Getting kind of cluttered here. Alright, so for my second Marvel Legends figure, I decided to grab the Spot from Across the Spider-Verse, and he came with that. I thought that was pretty neat, little portal effect with Miles popping through. It looks pretty neat too on camera. I don't mind that. That stand wouldn't be hard to erase out of the picture either. But for all that, it wouldn't be hard to create your own spots in photo editing. Just leave that out, and you could do almost anything, right? You could stick me in the same position and then erase what I don't want, like my legs and stomach. Create a spot right there at the torso. Have me popping out a spot. That wouldn't be super hard, right? But just for the shelf, this prop is kind of neat. And even if I do use it for pictures, it works. Realistic shadows and stuff. It all looks good. And likewise, the spot here is just chock full of articulation that I'm not used to. So he is super posable. And I'm super happy to play with him and get him in different positions. Now, I bought him loose. I bought both of them loose, actually. Trying to save myself on them Marvel Legends price tags a little bit. So, I do not have his fists, unfortunately. But he's not exactly one of those characters I need punching a lot, right? I just need him doing his little magician hand, spirit fingers, making portals, right? That works pretty well for me, I think. And now, just like Surtur, I have him on my 3 3/4 shelf. And Miles is pretty out of scale. His head looks massive. His hand looks pretty big. But especially, the way the movie portrayed the Spot, especially towards the end of the movie, his size started becoming real loose, right? His scale became kind of whatever he wanted it to be, I guess, right? So, I don't mind him being a little bigger, because he was shown throughout those scenes getting bigger and smaller and whatever, right? And he was pretty lanky anyways. So you just crouch him out a little bit like that, and that works for me, right? And especially because in the movie, he crossed over into the real world anyways. Real world. Into live action. Into the Venom universe anyways. So, but that works for me. I thought that was a good start. And like I said, it's kind of a soft step into Marvel Legends. And like I said, there's other options that are equally soft step, right? There's Destroyers and Giant Mans and Goliaths and whatnot. So, we'll see how it goes. I'm not really sure what the next one I'll get is. Definitely feel free to let me know down in them comments which figures you think I should be getting. Because, like I say, if you haven't noticed, I'm not up to date on the Marvel Legends. I'm going to be watching a lot of videos to find out, like, for example, what's the best version of Captain America. Because I don't want to buy 16 different versions unless they're the versions I want, right? I might at some point want the best First Avenger uniform and the best Endgame uniform, right? Or, oh no, this one was not Endgame, Infinity War? Not Infinity War. Oh, no, I'm getting Age of Ultron? I'm getting lost. But you get my point. I'm juggling too many movies and too many names. But you get my point, right? I just kind of want some definitive versions. I don't want to go through 6 Captain Americas that I'm not happy with. I don't want to go through 6 Thors that I'm not happy with, right? Like this one, for example. I like this Thor a lot. But if I could skip some of these and get right to the real movie accurate ones, or even if the helmet comes off or is swappable for one with the hair out, whatever. I don't know what's on the list to speak on it fully, I guess, but I'm just making my point, right? I'm gonna have to watch videos to figure out which ones I'm gonna even want to put on the list, right? I think like characters like the Hulk, I'm vaguely aware like Hulk doesn't have that many options from the MCU, right? So I might be stuck with whatever the best is, or the best. The last one probably was the best, I guess, right? But characters like Iron Man, for example, probably has quite a few more figures, and it might be a little harder to suss out which one I want specifically. So I'm gonna have to do some research, get some feedback from you guys down there, and we'll see how it goes. I'm excited. I thought this was a really good start between the two of these. And I like the spot, but the spotlight is really on Surtur, I think. He really steals the shelf when he's on it. Right? Even if he's next to the spot, you barely notice the spot next to him. And even, I got him on the shelf. I got him between the Sentinel and Galactus, and he still stands out even as the shortest one. And he is. He's I don't know if I pointed that out. He's just slightly shorter than Galactus. Let me turn that. Trying to think if there's anything else before I wrap it up here, because I think I am. I'm gonna probably wrap it up here and call it a day. Alright, but like I said, I'm probably call that good, right? Where am I? Buried back here. See if he'll stand on the couch. There we go. Alright. I might have to spend a good 45 minutes putting these guys back on the shelf. So I appreciate you guys coming by and checking out my figures, checking out my video. As always, keep playing with them toys, and I'll talk to you again real soon.